heavy oak door of Singer Castle didn't just close, it groaned like a sleepy giant who had stubbed its giant toe. 1 second, 40 kids from Manhattan were giggling, their neon bright flashlights dancing across the cold granite walls of the Grand Hall. The next second, click! The heavy brass latch snapped shut. The lights flickered like dying fireflies, buzzed once, and plunged the room into total, absolute blueberry pie darkness. "My sneaker is glowing!" yelled a boy in the back. "The castle ate us!" yelled someone else. But in the middle of the pitch-black panic, Hrishita sat perfectly still. While her classmates were breathing fast, Hrishita was breathing slow. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. She wasn't a girl who ran away from mysteries. She was a girl who cataloged them. In her backpack, she carried a yellow mechanical pencil, 3 different kinds of erasers, and her trusty, official notebook of very important details. Her glasses slid down her nose, catching a tiny sliver of moonlight from a high turret window. To the other 4th graders, Singer Castle was a spooky fortress on Dark Island, surrounded by the deep, swirling waters of the St. Lawrence River. To Hrishita, it was a giant 3-dimensional jigsaw puzzle made of stone, and she loved puzzles, especially ones with 100-year-old instructions. "Class, stay calm," called Mr. Higgins, their teacher, whose voice sounded like a flute being squeezed by an octopus. He rattled the giant brass doorknob. Rattle, rattle, squeak. Locked. Tight. Then came the weird stuff. A chilly breeze blew directly out of a solid-looking stone wall. Whoosh. Then a soft thump, thump, creak echoed from behind the heavy velvet drapes. And then the real puzzle began. "Where's Leo?" whispered Maya. Leo was the smallest kid in the class, famous for wearing a bright banana yellow windbreaker so his parents wouldn't lose him in supermarkets. He had been standing right next to Mr. Higgins. Now he was gone. Only his flashlight remained, lying on the stone floor, spinning slowly like a shiny silver top. It cast long, dizzy shadows across the room. "The castle has secret monsters!" cried Toby, grabbing his own elbows. "The monsters wear yellow jackets!" The teachers were frantically patting the stone walls, but every single door was jammed tighter than a jar of old peanut butter. Panic was bubbling up like fizzy soda. Hrishita didn't join the shouting. She adjusted her glasses, knelt down by Leo's spinning flashlight, and did what she did best. She looked closer. She noticed something the others missed. The light beam wasn't just showing dusty floorboards. It was illuminating a tiny, swirling line of gray dust. The dust wasn't dancing in circles. It was moving in a straight, speedy line right toward the bottom of the solid stone wall. "A draft," Hrishita whispered. She stood up and raised her hand, even though it was too dark for anyone to see it. "Stop," she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was so steady and flat that the room instantly went quiet. "The castle isn't taking people," Hrishita announced. "It's moving them." She tapped her chin. In 1905, the man who built this castle, Frederick Bourne, put in something called invisible servants. It's a network of hidden hallways and dumbwaiters so the castle staff could move around without being seen. The ghostly drafts and spooky noises are just air and sound moving through the secret pipes. Hrishita walked right up to the solid wall where the dust line pointed. She didn't look for a magical keyhole. She looked for a mistake. Along the wall was a row of carved stone lion heads. They all looked very royal and very grumpily identical. Except for one. The third lion from the left had a slightly crooked nose. Hrishita reached out. She didn't just press it, she touched it with her fingertips first. "Aha!" she muttered. This stone was cold, much colder than the others. That meant cool air from a deeper tunnel was blowing right behind it. She gave the crooked-nosed lion a firm push. Grumble, click, creak. A section of the stone wall swung inward like a giant refrigerator door. It wasn't a spooky portal to another dimension. It was a narrow, wood-paneled hallway. And there, sitting on a wooden step, looking very confused and eating a slightly squished grape from his lunchbox, was Leo. "I leaned against the wall to tie my shoe," Leo explained, his yellow jacket glowing in the dark. "Then the wall went whoosh, and I fell in here. And then the door closed. But look, I found secret stairs." "We can't go back through the main door. It's jammed," Mr. Higgins said, peering into the dark tunnel with wide eyes. "But how do we navigate this maze without getting lost?" Hrishita smiled. She opened her notebook. "We follow the wind," she said. "The air is pulled toward the outside of the castle, where the temperature is different. If we follow the cold draft, it will lead us to an exit." "Follow the cold air," the kids whispered, passing the message down the line like a game of telephone. 40 children, holding hands in a long, colorful chain, marched into the secret passage. Hrishita led the way, her hand raised to feel the chilly breeze. They turned left past a dusty wine rack, right past an old dumbwaiter shaft, and straight down a narrow corridor that smelled like old paper and cedar wood. Whenever they hit a fork in the path, Hrishita would stop, wet her index finger, and hold it up. "This way," she'd point. "The wind is stronger here." Finally, they reached a wooden door with a round brass handle. "It's a laundry chute," Leo giggled. One by one, with a series of whooshes and whees, the 40 students slid down the smooth wooden chute, launching laughingly onto a giant pile of soft, clean canvas laundry bags in the courtyard. The bright yellow moonlight of Dark Island washed over them. The fresh air smelled like the river and pine trees. The teachers gasped in relief, counting heads. All 40 were safe, sound, and covered in harmless laundry lint. Mr. Higgins clapped Hrishita on the shoulder. "Excellent navigation, Hrishita. You saved the day." Hrishita dusted off her knees, closed her notebook with a satisfying snap, and smiled. Panic makes the world look like a scary monster, but observation makes it look like a map. When things seem impossible, don't look at the scary shadows. Just look closely at the patterns that make them, because the way out is always hidden in the smallest, neatest details. "Now," Hrishita said, her eyes twinkling behind her glasses, "who wants to go back inside and see where the kitchen chute leads?" 40 kids cheered, their laughter ringing out under the starry sky.